Hello. All right, so I'm back out in the field again today. I haven't had a chance to shoot this next video, which I wanted to talk about profit. So now that you've got a solid grasp on the difference between margin and markup, the next big question is, how do you figure out what the right price is to charge for your product or service? So in this video, we're gonna wrap up the pricing formula, and then at the end, we're gonna take a quick look at some net profit margins and some of the biggest companies out there. So let's get into it. After we've calculated our gross profit number, remember that's the total sales minus the cost of goods sold, we still have one more set of expenses that we need to consider before we can claim that we have a profit. So these are what we call below the line expenses or operating expenses. They're below the gross margin line on your profit and loss statement, hence the name below the line. Now, every business is a little bit different, but common operating expenses include things like rent, utilities, office supplies, auto expenses, travel, insurance, admin, payroll, etc., etc. And these are generally more fixed costs. They don't fluctuate directly with the number of units that you sell. For example, your rent isn't going to double just because you sold twice as many products. Now, there are some cases where that might happen if you're a restaurant or, but we're not going to get into that right now. So let's say you're running a small consulting business. Your rent, your software, subscriptions, administrative salaries, they stay pretty much the same whether you have 5 clients or 15 clients. So that's why it's critical to price your services in a way that covers these fixed costs or these operating expenses and still leaves room for profit. Now, when you're building business systems for your business, things like processes for fulfilling orders or delivering services, it's all about efficiency. Your business system has a theoretical maximum capacity. So as you grow and you start hitting new sales levels, your business system either needs to become more efficient or it needs to expand or both. Otherwise, you're gonna hit a ceiling where your system just can't keep up with the demand. So in another video, I do wanna talk about the constraints that come along with growth and how to overcome them. Okay, so let's talk about how to charge. What's a reasonable net profit margin to aim for? If you're a small business and you're looking to grow, I'd say the absolute bare minimum that you should be making in net profit is between 12 and 15%, bare minimum. That means that after everyone's been paid, you, the business owner, are left with 12 to 15% of the total sales, right? So if you make $100,000 in total sales, you're left with, at the end of the year, you're left with at least $12,000 to $15,000. Now, let me be honest with you. In my early years, I really struggled to hit that margin. It's part of the learning curve when you're just starting out, but here's an important point. That 15% should not include what you pay yourself as an employee of your business. So if you've got 15% left over, but you still need to pay yourself, then you need to aim higher. The bigger the profit, the more that you can reinvest into your business to fuel growth for the future. So let's talk about figuring out your pricing. How do you know how much to charge? Well, in the beginning, your overhead will likely be lower compared to more established businesses, right? Which is good. You want to have a lower overhead when you're just starting out. It gives you some breathing room to figure out revenue, costs, and then below the line expenses that will make your business profitable. So at first, I'd recommend using the markup method to set your prices. It's simple and it's effective. And for when you're just getting started, it's the perfect way to set prices, right? As you gain experience and you have a better sense of what your actual margins are versus your target margins, you can fine-tune pricing to find out what really works for your business. The key takeaway here is just to get started. The sooner that you dive in, the faster you will learn what the market is willing to pay. And don't forget to track the profitability closely. Whether you're using regular accounting software or a simple spreadsheet, keeping an eye on the margins will help you adjust your prices over time.
Okay, so I've pulled up 2 companies here. The first one that we're going to look at is Home Depot Incorporated. Everybody knows Home Depot. And the other is Carlisle Companies. So let's look at Home Depot real quick, the first one. All the numbers here are in thousands, so we need to add 3 zeros to the end of this. So if we look at their total revenue was $152 billion. Their cost of revenue is $101 billion. If you look at their gross profit, it's 33% of their total sales. And then we've got operating expenses, that's what we talked about in this video. That's the OpEx, and that's everything like selling, general, administrative costs, and then they've got some depreciation in there as well. The net income for this company is $15 billion. That gives us about a 10% net profit. Now let's look at Carlyle companies. If we look at their gross profit is $1.6 billion, so it's about a third, very similar to the Home Depot situation. And then if you look at their operating expenses, $651 million. And then if we go down to their net income for common stockholders, net income is $765 million. That gives us about a 17% net income. So I'd say as a smaller company, very easily you can shoot for 15 to 30% net profit, depending on how efficient you are with how much money that you're spending.
Now, I want to take a quick tangent on losses here, because not all losses are bad. If the founders of a company, if they have a really big vision, they might want to run at a loss for a few years while they build the operational bandwidth, right? The operating expenses, the operating leverage to have, to create larger revenues later. They're playing a long game, and basically they're trying to set up like an efficiency powerhouse that can handle larger volumes of products and services down the road. But for most small businesses, if you're just getting started, the focus in the beginning needs to be on profitability from the start. It's about proving that your model works and that ensuring that your business can sustain itself over time. So some closing thoughts here to wrap things up. A lot of entrepreneurs, they start business thinking about all the money that they're going to make without fully understanding all the costs involved in running the business, the operating expenses. But by now, you should have a clear idea of how to set prices that not only cover these costs, but also drive the growth of the business, right? Drive the profitability. Remember that a pricing strategy isn't just about making money, it's about valuing your time, it's about valuing your effort, and also the growth of the business in the future. Your pricing is going to be the foundation of your business's success. So if you get it right from the get-go, you'll set up your business for sustainable growth. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys found this information helpful. Leave a comment down below if you want to hear about a different topic, or if there's other things that you want me to go through, talk about in business. But if you found value out of the video, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed, and if you liked the video, it'll help me out a ton and help me grow the channel. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys on the next one.